certain special something.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, y'all.
I hear it in the
I just
background.
kicked us off live.
Oh,
Oh, shit. We're live.
yeah.
All right.
So everybody, welcome. This is Loop Sessions, April 2020-21, the pandemic era of online streaming, and we're here live with two head honcho, big fat cats of East Boulevard Records, Mr. Steve and Marlo.
What's up, y'all?
What up, everybody?
We're definitely very excited to hear what you do with these loops, and it's been really fun to be involved with a couple loop sessions and just hear what people do every time. It's always super inspiring.
Yeah, you guys have both been involved in loop sessions since the very beginning, since like 2017. So
yeah,
Hell yeah.
it's been a minute. It's kind of funny when I think back. It's like it doesn't seem like it's been that long, but I looked through some of my files and stuff, and it's like 2018 loop sessions. Like
yeah,
it's wild how fast time goes. It's been such a fun thing to just like look forward to every month. And
Yeah, pre-COVID, it seems like such a long time ago, but it really wasn't.
honestly, some of those beats that I made in those first few loop sessions, probably like the first 6 or 7 loop sessions, have made their way into being released. It's like I have one that I made that ended up being a lane track, and then I got one that's on my next beat tape actually that I made. It was like loop sessions from 2019, and there's one actually that was on the one that you brought the record back from India. That's going to hopefully become a track with the rapper on it. So they make their way outside of just the loop sessions community too, which is pretty cool.
that's dope, man. Yeah, it's so sick to see just that little bit of extra, like having something going on in band that's encouraging some beats to be made regularly, and to see them actually become releases is awesome.
Totally.
Hell yeah. Thank you guys for the loops and the fire samples.
Oh man, thank you guys for providing that crate. That crate's crazy. Yeah, I listened to that crate, and I was like, damn, I could definitely make some IMUR songs with these chords here, no problem.
Please do. Yeah, so I mean the kind of like philosophy behind it, we haven't done it as much as I would have liked, but I kind of had this idea of just kind of flipping the creative process on its head, where like trying to almost like reverse engineer a beat, where I feel like as producers, like you feel like you can always add more layers, or like one of the hardest skills is learning when enough is enough, or when a beat is finished, or like just learning minimalism as a concept. So I felt like trying to craft samples and not even worry about it being a quote unquote beat, just like trying to create interesting soundscapes. That was like a way to keep the process fresh. And the first session that we had doing that, it was super fun. We had a bunch of people there, and there was people, it was like a production line. Like we were making chords, and then we would make these loops, and then Dave would already, like the second the loop was finished, it was like, okay, now Dave's got it in the MPC and he's chopping it up. So it was like splitting the process into two things instead of like all trying to all do one thing.
Damn, so you had a whole band on the other side of your MPC.
Yeah, a real luxury from me. I don't usually get that.
Some jazzmatazz shit.
Hell yeah.
I contemplated like putting all the BPMs and everything on on the pack, but I thought that that would maybe be not too easy, but I feel like when you're sampling in the wild, so to speak, you don't necessarily get that. So I felt like it would be more pure. I wanted it to feel like you just like found this random record that had this on it, and you wouldn't necessarily know the tempo. So
Yeah, that's really tight. I fully agree with your mentality there. It's funny that you mentioned like finding a random record, because one of the not necessarily the shortcomings, but one of the things that is frustrating with loop sessions is that because the music is sample based, it's difficult to take it all the way commercially. And so
yeah,
what is awesome about this is that anything that people make here, they can reach out to you guys, and you guys can just be that direct contact to clear it or to be involved with the royalties. You know who's there. You're not going through a Sony or an Atlantic to get a sample cleared, and it can go all the way.
Totally. I think that's such a cool thing. And like, you know, being involved in trying to do this for like a couple years of like sample making, it kind of opened my eyes to that side of the industry where there are people, and that's like their whole thing is like they just make samples. Or like even I've been watching a lot of these Jake One behind the beat videos, and Jake One's one of my favorite producers. He has this great YouTube series which I would highly recommend anyone that makes beats to check out. But he had some that was like behind the beat, but it was actually like behind the sample. So it's like someone like Jake One that you wouldn't necessarily think stylistically would be a producer on a Future track ends up being someone that's involved, and he has a production credit with Future because he just created this beautiful composition with all these vintage synths and stuff. And then someone that's like a little more tapped into the trap drums and stuff like that did their thing on it. It's just like, yeah, it's a cool way to collaborate, I feel like. And then like you said, you're not worried about like some random group from the 70s. Like, how do I even reach out to them? It's like you already have that relationship, and I think it's mutually beneficial for both parties. So
yeah, and oftentimes the person that you're going to contact who like still has the legal rights to that record that you're talking about, they're not like making bank right now, so they're like, oh, I'm gonna definitely try and pull $1,000 at least out of this crew, and that's hard to do.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the times it's more the record label who actually owns the rights versus the artist, and sometimes they're not as easy to deal with.
Yeah, I've never tried to clear a record like that, but I'd imagine that it's not a fun thing to do.
No, there's probably so many dope songs that like never came out because of that reason. Like, think about how many. I'm sure, like, just as an example of Madlib, he probably has like so many tracks that like never came out. I might have to turn a light on here. It looks like we're kind of dark.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I could see your faces.
Going for the vibe lighting, but it's getting a little.
That's better.
Yeah.
Same with even guys like Katra. Like, think about how much A&R work it took to clear that Katra album, or like how much A&R work it takes to clear a Drake record, because every single song is sampled to the tits. But I mean,
yeah,
everybody's gonna say yes, but
yeah. I think it's pretty cool though to think like, you know, sampling as an art form never like fell out of favor. You know, it always was like the core element of hip hop and electronic music, and it still remains like a very big piece of that culture and of that workflow, and people are trying to like find ways to keep that creative process alive. And like, yeah, I think creating samples and like being able to sample original music is like such a cool way to do that. Because I mean, even myself, like even if I make the loop or I'm like collaborating with these guys on like making the loop, if all I focus on that day is making that loop and like being like, this could be cool to sample, and then the next day I pull it up as if it is a sample and I chop it, like I'm gonna come out with such a different result than if I had just like inside of Ableton looked at those chords and just like built a song around it. It just like flips a switch in my head of like how I think about making music. I feel like
there's something about like stretching it out, chopping it, rearranging it, that just like changes the essence of it.
Yeah, there's that tangible thing where you feel like you're manipulating something totally different, and you're searching for that thing, and it's fun to look for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's really tight though that you guys blessed us with this pack, because it's beautiful, and I hope it's the first. I hope it's the first of many. Like I was saying in the chat earlier, Loop Sessions is doing work right now to kind of unify the entire Loop Sessions family, the whole global family. And a big way that we're going to try and do that is through making samples for the entire like Loop Sessions family. So it'd be really easy for us to press even 500 vinyls of original music and then distribute them across the world so that everybody can sample a physical vinyl of original music that's made by the crews.
That would be so dope.
Because it's hard for, like, I know I've been talking about pressing a vinyl for Vancouver for a long time, but it's a lot of financial load to place on. I mean, originally Nemesis said that they were going to put up the bill to press these vinyls because Jess is just so down. The owner of Nemesis is so down with this squad that he's like, I'll pay for the vinyl to be pressed. But it's a different situation now. I mean, with COVID and owning a restaurant. But,
for sure.
But then when you talk about
it's tricky.
Yeah. But when you look at it from a global perspective and you're like, okay, well there's 25 cities around the world. Every city just throws down $100. That's easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Oh, that's a great idea. We should make that happen.
Yeah, we definitely will, and we'll have to get an East Boulevard track on there if it's not this one. But yeah, that's definitely in the works here.
And then you could press a vinyl of the beats made from it too. It could be like a 2-part series. Yeah,
that's right.
That'd be super dope.
Yeah, and then like.
And you were saying there. Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
Oh, it looked like you were saying there's going to be some sort of kind of like a radio show too, with like a selection kind of radio show, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it'll probably be monthly instead of weekly.
Yeah.
But Mario over in Montreal, he's spearheading a radio show, and I don't know if he's going to do it exclusively with Loop Sessions beats, but Montreal's been going strong for 5 years, and they've been submitting beats every single session for 5 years. So they have a catalog of 1,400 songs from Loop Sessions. Damn. So like
that's insane.
Yeah. It's a pretty crazy body of work, and so if the whole world starts submitting them as well, then that's like pretty easy to put together an hour of music.
Totally. Or even if it was like sprinkled in, like, you know, certain songs from Loop Sessions mixed in with others that weren't, or just like, I don't know. There's a lot you could do with that, but Yeah, I feel like it is. I get it. Like, I feel like when I make a Loop Sessions beat, I'm always like, it's dope that I made it and I'm happy with it in that moment. And then and I feel like the next day you kind of like listen to it and you have that different set of ears where you're looking at it for it being more polished and all this stuff. And then you're kind of like, oh, maybe it's not finished. But I feel like if you even just spend like a few hours on it the next day, that'll get it to like where it needs to be. I don't think it needs to be like this perfect track, but I feel like I'm always blown away by the way that beats sound, even just like the ones that we played tonight. Like they all sound like finished tracks usually, and then it's like you could just submit it like that. But I feel like if people put in like an extra little bit, then it's like that's all you need. Yeah. Myself included, I kind of fell off. I was sending them in, but then I kind of stopped. So I got to get back on it.
I stopped asking for them though.
Yeah.
But it's so funny though, because you're saying like all these beats, they sound like finished songs. To everybody, or to you, everybody else's shit, you're like, oh, that's good enough. Put it in. But to you, your shit is always like, oh no, that's like not even close to where it should be. So it's so hard. It's so hard to understand subjectively where the effort is actually going to make the difference towards carrying the idea to finished. You know, like how much is working on it for 2 more days really going to make a difference? It's just other people that you're worried about.
Totally. You almost have to like think about it. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard, like mental gymnastics that you have to go through to try to figure it all out. But I mean, as artists, we're always like our own worst critics, and you're always going to hear things differently than other people. But yeah, I think it's a good, if anything, it's just a good exercise of like letting go, because I think that it is a very important skill to have, of like finding the moment when you can let go of something and just not need to control it anymore, and it's finished, and nothing will ever be capital F finished, but it'll be finished enough that you don't have to like worry about it anymore. I don't know. It's tricky, but
yeah, for me it's always like it's over when the time's up. And that's what I really liked about making art for Loop Sessions. It's like, okay, I got 2 days to make this. Period. Like I can't wait to put it out. So like it's done. It has to be. Oh, I only have a half an hour left on this. Gotta just wrap it up. What counts the most? Gotta just do that. So having that like external, and that's why Loop Sessions is fun, because it's like, I have an hour left. What I'm gonna do right now? I gotta hustle here.
Yeah, you have to make some tough choices. I've had a few times where I'm like, do I like make the arrangement more interesting, or do I make the mix better? But I can only do one of those things. Yeah. So I don't know. It's really it keeps you sharp, because you're forced to all your normal like things that you think about, you can't, because there's no time.
There's no time.
It like literally like forces you into a flow state with it. It's pretty. I noticed that right away. Like from the first Loop Sessions I was doing, I remember just being like getting there at like 6 and then looking up and it's like 9 p.m. and I haven't eaten, and I'm just like, what happened?
Yeah.
But that's a really cool state that you can induce.
Mm-hmm. The flow state.
Yeah.
Yeah, the flow. That's right. Yeah, I love it. That's what it's all about. Man, I've been doing this exercise. I don't know. I caught somebody on TikTok talking about it, and it was it's like production drills. And you know me, I'm all about fucking discipline and work and shit. So I love these drills where you spend 5 minutes with a blank slate and you try to make something, and then you print what you have at the end of 5 minutes, and then you close the session, new session, you try to make the exact same thing in 5 minutes again. and then you print it out, and then you go. I'll go like do like 10 rounds of that, and then by the end of like the fifth or sixth, I've got like a bunch of notes about things that I'm doing that are stupid, like just things that I do all the time because I haven't thought about why I do them. And so that's been a huge thing for me to increase my speed and to just like force that flow state, like not second guess shit, just go. So yeah, try that out. It's really fun.
That's pretty dope. Do you ever take those ideas and like try to develop it further, or you just kind of use it purely as
after I get kind of burnt on the 5-minute mark, I'll go to 10 minutes, and then after that I'll go to a half an hour. And it really it exposed to me that I'm focusing too much on drums, and I'm spending too much time looking for a sound that will go good with drums. Whereas like I have my drum packs like dialed in. Like I know where my snares are, I know what hats I like, but why am I always searching for a like bass sound? Why don't I have a palette? Like Kaytranada has a palette. Why don't I have a palette?
That's a good point. Yeah, I feel like you can get bogged down in the like looking through sounds thing, which I mean it's important though. Like picking the right sound for the right sonic texture of everything is very important. But I guess it's like you have to balance that with like not forgetting your idea because you're looking for the sound. So I think, yeah, you're right. It's good to have like your go-tos on hand.
Yeah.
I was really good about that for a minute, but I kind of fell off it. Like I was every time I made a beat and I made a sound that I liked, or I encountered a sound that I was working with, I would like instantly print it and put it in a folder so that I'm just like, I was doing that for like a few months, and I started building this folder, and then every time I'd make a beat, I'd be like, oh, there's like these sounds that I really like that they're right there. But I feel like unless you're constantly in the habit of it, because I totally fell out of the habit where I was doing that for a few months, and then I kind of went back into my old ways of like just being fully in the zone of that beat and not work. Like, I don't know, it's a hard balance because you don't want to like interrupt your flow to be like bouncing out tracks, but if you don't do it in the moment, then you probably don't ever do it. So I don't know.
I think it's just it's fun. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dave.
I was just gonna say we recently had a big like organization session with the fellows at the studio, just printing samples, drum breaks, and everything, just trying to get organized. Because I do tend to spend a lot of time myself just looking for a snare or something like that.
Yeah, and like that's all good. It's good to take the time to play and to discover new shit and discover new sounds, but it's nice to separate like practice from game day, you know. And when you're doing drills for game day and you're running, it's like you're running a scrimmage of a game when you're doing these drills, and just knowing what plays you've been practicing. And so to separate the sound discovery from making a beat, like why do they have to happen at the same time? That's what I've been thinking about.
Totally. And I think it kind of all comes back full circle to the whole thing of like making samples or making loops of like that is in essence, that's kind of what's happening there, where it's like you're taking the like sonic exploration or like the sound design and the chord structures and all this stuff as like a separate session, and then the next session is like making the beat and putting it all together. But you don't have to think about like, oh, like what chords am I going to use or what. It's already like there. So I think that is a cool way to like separate those different ways of doing things instead of trying to do it all at once. But I mean, sometimes it's fine to do it all at once. It's just like there's no right or wrong way. I think it's just fun to do different shit because you get different results that way, and it just doesn't get stale. So
yeah, exactly. It for me, it was just like this exercise. When I shared it with my bandmates, they were like, "Dude, you're crazy. Why would you want to do that?" And it's just because it's a mirror. Like right away, it was a full mirror of like, oh, I do this every single time. And I've just like I'm in a not a creative rut, but I've built ruts of what I do. So it almost enabled me to break out and try new shit. So yeah, anybody out there listening, I'd recommend just like try to see how far you can get in 5 minutes. Do it 5 times and you'll learn a lot about yourself as a producer.
that's dope.
Really? Yeah. Yeah. It's just like sharpening any other skill, right? You got to put the work in. You got to run these little drills, get yourself ready.
Yeah, this is athletics.
Come on. I mean, if there's, I think there is something to be said though, because like when you're working, when you're at home in the comfort of your own home or your studio or whatever, you're making shit. It can be very leisurely, and that's great. And don't get me wrong, that is like the essence of production, where you're just chilling out, you got a little drink, smoke a joint, whatever, like get in the zone and just really have fun with it. And that's kind of like such a release, and the way that people always get into making beats or like expressing, where like you're in the studio and you're in the studio with an artist and they have an idea and you have to try to be able to produce their idea and articulate it in that moment and do it quickly. And that's where like those type of drills are like just like being in that environment, like you are going to want to be fast and you are going to want to be able to like get to an idea quickly.
Yeah, it's going to make you better. And the biggest thing that I think will happen is you'll start to develop your sound faster, because you'll be going to the same things, and then you will have some creative constraints on you that will make you have a sound, instead of just like ping-ponging back and forth between the infinite amount of options that you have as a modern producer. Like when you think about producers, even in the like mid 2000s, late 2000s, they didn't have Splice, they didn't have YouTube, and so their sound came out of their creative constraints. So I think using the same things over and over again, it's only going to make you better. It's only having a creative constraint. It's just going to make you a better musician.
Totally.
But at the same time, play is important. So
yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at, where like you don't want to do too much of either thing, and it's like you always want to have those sessions where you have fun and you creatively release, because if you don't, then you're gonna just fall out of love with it or get in a weird state where it feels like work. So I try to make time to do that kind of thing, where it's like I don't have any constraints on me, because it's more fun sometimes that way, where it's like, oh, I heard this sample today, like cool, I'm inspired by it, I'm not going to overthink it, and let's go, like I'm going to make this. And yeah, that's also fun too, just like leaving some room for spontaneity too, I think helps.
Definitely. And it's so often that that when you have that session where there's no expectations and you're like, I know this is like stupid and sounds bad, but I'm just going to do it anyways, that turns into the new production technique that you're going to use for the entire next record or something.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like how we got into making house a little bit, is just because, I mean, we all love listening to it, but it was like, we have the freedom, like a chill session where there's no real objective, and it's like, okay, all of a sudden we're at 120 and the kicks hitting every beat, and we got a house track all of a sudden. So I think there's definitely something to be said for play and for experimentation too.
Absolutely, man. It's the balance. It's a whole universe we get to live inside as producers.
Definitely.
All right. It looks like it's 9 p.m. Should start.
Cool.
Should we start spinning some beats here?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay. Man, we got a heavy hitting crew this session here. We got Slow Hando in the building. We got Skinny Local in the building. Looks like the first beat in is, I'm gonna turn off this.
Feedback
Yeah,
right
this Shouty Pimp was really dope.
Yeah, right.
That was super sick.
I could hear it in the background. I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah, that was nice stuff.
Oh,
Should start.
Cool.
Whoa.
Okay, there we go.
There we go. Just gonna line up the interview here.
Looking at myself, I don't know.
Okay, here we go. Loop Sessions, April 2021. The second session of the fourth year of Loop Sessions. Let's go.
Yeah, maybe I should just do it.
Sportsmanship.
Sounds so soulful, don't you agree? Proof. I guess I got my swagger back. Truth. New watch alert. Hue blows. Or the big face rolly, I got two of those. Arm out the window through the city, I maneuver slow. Cock back, snap back, see my cut through the holes.
Damn, Yeezy and Hov, where the hell you been? They ain't see me cause I pulled up in my other Benz. Last week I was in my other Benz. Throw your diamonds up, cause we in this bitch another key.
Kicking it off with the West Coast whistle and the G-Funk bass. That's sick. All right, we're going to keep it rolling with Slow Hando.
僕は大麻の常習者です。
アメリカはよ、
名古屋弁わかる。口から出まかせよ。I like that.
大麻を吸うと幸福感を得られるから好きです。
Hell yeah. Shun. That was massive. Getting knowledge vibes. All right. Keeping it rolling. Newest music on the planet. Forest Walker. Yo, Stefan, how do you feel about other people chopping and screwing your guitar like this? Hello? Stefan? Oh, dude.
Sorry,
Oh,
I was responding in the chat. I didn't respond in real life. I was just in chat mode. Sorry,
Oh, it's
virtual
okay.
response.
Yeah, you were in tapped out of base there.
But yeah, I love hearing the way that people interpret the chords and shit. I think that's like a fan favorite one for sure. It's just so funky.
That was sick. It's a trip to hear your guitar and me to just be like, oh, it's a Stevie. I instantly know just from the tone, and then hear it other people chop it up is sick.
Yeah.
That was dope, Forrest Walker. Next up, we got Marnes. Yeah. It's their first loop sessions. This better be good, or you're not allowed to come back.
Welcome.
Here we go. Hell yeah. Very, very smooth vibes from Marnes. Thanks for coming out for the first time. Throw up in the chat how you heard about us. How did you come across loop sessions? Love to hear it. Next up, we got Wet Worker. Strap in, boys. That was deep. Chopped and screwed. Real deep.
Hella deep.
This next one already has a soft spot in my heart because I got a kitten too. And it has a little tiny paws. And I love those little paws. Let's go.
Popular one.
Man, this is a cool session. It's really dope to hear like that same loop back to back and hear it completely differently. I love it.
It's really cool. People finding a way to make these funk beats just nasty.
Yeah.
I'm scared now.
Yeah.
All right, next up we got Skinny Local. Let's go. Damn, that was a crazy spin. I love that shit. All right, next up we got Mr. Stee himself. Did you make this beat right now? That was tight. I can definitely tell you guys have been reaching into the gutter,
Yes.
the dirty South.
Yeah. Yes. We've been on that tip lately for sure.
Yeah, you gotta lay low with it.
Man, the dirty South has been leading hip hop since like the mid 2000s now, because they were killing it on the charts
Oh yeah.
since 3-6, and then trap music took over the entire world. So, arguably, Atlanta
Yeah.
is the most important city in contemporary hip hop.
Some would say.
Hard to argue.
Up next, we got Cross River with some Off Kilter 404. Let's go.
If the trade natural, slinging blade without remorse around once again surround sound. Celebrate this day, commemorate it with a play. It could be yours with the famous.
Basically, my music is me, yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Most producers,
You know, being popular is great, but you can't.
You know, they're not looking for God. You know, the ever changing. Everything is about the streets. Some of them grow up without love, and they look for love in the street.
Really, as a music lover, as a listener, I enjoy.
Cross River. Yo, man, this dude.
Man, I could listen to that loop all day. Keeping it rolling. We got Surge, Senor Goldman. Oh yeah. Loop Sessions live. We're keeping it rolling. The newest music on the planet. Mars. Out of 10 would climb a mountain to that beat.
Definitely. Emotionally, though, of course. Emotional mountain climbing.
I mean,
you have to have tears streaming down your face as you climb.
Well, it's all just so beautiful.
That was dope.
That was really sick. Penetronic coming through. Damn. How'd you guys groove into that funk bass, eh?
Man, that was wild. I love it.
Those keys.
Yeah, it was really sick.
Ooh. That was hot. That was hot. Here comes Sagua.
This is one of my favorite songs.
Damn. That's some high quality, low fidelity.
That's hi-fi, lo-fi right
That's
there.
hi-fi, lo-fi. Sagwa, I hope you're putting beats out on SoundCloud. the world needs to hear those in the background while they do their tasks and enjoy their life. Here we go. Kai Hirate. Damn.
That was wild.
Big points for original flippage.
Yeah.
Here comes Cam.
Very original flippage.
Cam with the best album art so far.
Never I'll let you. My heart belongs to you. That's all right with me. Who else could it around me? Show love that I can't see. You and me were meant to be. That's all right with me. Friends come, friends may go. Our friends are real, I know. True self for you, I show you're all right with me. Through thick and thick to them, I love you till the end. You know it's true, my friends are all right with me. All right with me. Shipping it up the line with me. All right with me. Catch a falling star that shines. Make a wish like 3 times. Dreams come true, it's in the mind. That's all right with me. Your wish is my command. Never thought of falling again with my best friend. That's all right with me.
Oh yeah.
That was amazing.
That's some pew pew right there. Some pew pew.
Pew pew pew.
Next up we got Luke. Luke, just when I thought I was going to have to kick you out of loop sessions forever for going over the time limit, you do something like that and completely redeem yourself.
It was worth it.
Amazing.
100%.
Great work, man. Great work.
Wow, that switch up with flames.
Absolutely. All right. Next up, we got Marcos.
A lot since we started dating each other. They're concerned because they're like, well, I told them that you're not into like girls' night necessarily, and they're like, so he's not gonna let you like go out with us or whatever. And I'm like, no, let me finish. I'm like, no, but he should go with you. Like the man should go with you. And they're like, how are we gonna just be our like girls and just like go out with each other?
Listen, at that point when I said, but there is no girls' night, when I forbid it to like go, like.
And mango chicken for the lady.
Thanks. Can I actually get a little more hot sauce with that? Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Just say when. Oh, wait a minute. That's Red Ranch, not hot sauce.
Red Ranch.
Man, that was sick. I was just there, man. That was like a whole experience right there.
That was sick. I was in like Portugal, like hoping to get some more hot sauce.
I actually forgot I put that one in there. I was like, geez, I wasn't even sure if I was supposed to put that one in there, but
there it is.
I'm happy with the flip right there.
Next up, we got Ted D. Too short, Teddy. Too short.
Insane.
Woo!
It's a hot flip. Hot and fast. Here we go. Sonny says.
I gotta get this right. I gotta get that. Okay. Yeah. East Boulevard Studios with the sample. Loop Sessions, how you doing? Yeah. Lost in this world constantly. Ain't nothing really haunting me or taunting me. I just wanna talk to me for a second. Start introspecting on my rap when I'm rolling through the intersection. This life is perfection, it's a blessing. I'm gonna keep rolling even when I feel like I ain't knowing. Even when I feel like the numbers ain't going up. It's okay, I get cold and tough. Winter is over, summer I'm opening up. Get it? I'm coming out the studio, I hope so. If it ain't for this COVID emergency that we going through currently, I wish I was outside somewhere, but I can't fly nowhere, so I'm just sitting here in my underwear as if I don't care. Ain't nobody really know though how Sunny says flow or how I really go. I'm just chilling, you know how it is, bro. Gotta keep it on the low when I go out. Everybody got a doubt, but that's okay. I gotta let it all out. When I can't breathe, I just turn into a fish. You know how it is. Yeah, I serve it to you on a dish. Capiche, capoosh. I'm here like I got a big. Nah, I ain't got a caboose, but that's okay. I'm just a moose on the loose. You know how it is. Parallel 49. What's the youth? What's the plan? I don't got one, son. I just walk around and do this shit for fun. Instrumental with the vision. Even if I didn't kill it, this is my mission. To come out with the scope and the rope and make sure that I cut off all hope of people thinking that I ain't dope.
Even when I don't represent, I ain't gonna vent. I'm just gonna hold myself to a higher purpose. And like life ain't worthless, do a 9 to 5 and then I still murder this. How is this that I have so much energy and the rest of y'all are complaining about your boo-boos and your ha-has, and I don't give a shit about your fucking flaws. I'm just going in like the real fucking macabre. Shout out to the Cowboys, the ones who get it done. The rest of y'all is villainous and y'all ain't getting it done. Just sitting back for a second though, Sonny, relax. I don't really know, I can't. I got a spaz on the track. Yo, Sonny, just let it go. I don't can. I gotta keep going even when they ain't knowing. You know how it is. Gotta keep on flowing even when the numbers ain't showing. Gotta keep competing even when you ain't eating. That's how you gotta be all the way when the soul gets you down and this life feels like it's just giving you a good ass beating. Peace.
Wow.
Going in with the bars. Hell yeah.
Kudos to you, rapping and making a beat.
Got me fired up with
That's
those
hard.
lyrics, man.
Not easy to do.
Got me fired up, Sonny. Next up, we got Kev Mo coming in hot from the interior of Nelson. I don't know if he's allowed to put beats out on the coast like this because he's in the interior. Here we go. Oh, what? We couldn't find that link? Let's try and get it on SoundCloud. We're going to go to the World Wide Web.
It's an underground popular loop in the pack right there.
Damn,
That's
what
the one.
happened,
Yeah.
Kev Mo? Yo, Kev, you got to re-upload your shit. And we'll come right back to Kev Mo. Next up, we got Handle.
Hi, this is the Lower Mainland Correctional Facility. Would you like to receive a collect call from Handle?
Yeah, homie, man, I bet I can't be here, but I've been in this mindset for way too long, nigga. Yeah, This metaphor was my prison. Yeah, stuck on a 4x4 cell, I repair, I repel the hate. I repel the hate that be placed on me. Yeah.
Yo, nigga, you got 5 minutes.
It's used that word indiscriminately, Opening and pride in every day. They just know how to play. They play so cool as a cat, make you think twice as red in your fat. Yeah, that's why I be drowning in the Hennessy. Yeah, that's why I be drowning in this Hennessy. Yeah, it make me avoid everything that I can see. Yeah, this is why I be drowning in the Hennessy. Yeah, drip, drip, nigga. Yo, pour me another cup, make it double up. Then we drip it down on the floor. Give our praise to the niggas that not no more. Yeah, that the niggas that not no more. Bring it up, yo, praise be. Yeah, praise be. I don't wanna know. I don't wanna go. I don't wanna see another nigga in front of me. He be dropping like fries and they be sliding us so free. The metaphor was my prison. Yeah, stuck on a 4x4 cell, I repair, I repel the hate, I repel the hate that be placed on me, yeah. This metaphor was my prison. Yeah, stuck on a 4x4 cell, I repair, I repel the hate, I repel the hate that be placed on me, yeah.
Yo, nigga, your time is up.
Time is up. Time is up. Kev Mo with the re-upload.
Side, the New York Times side, staying alive with no job, hat in hand, moms bounced on old man, so then we moved to Shallon Land, a young youth, yo rockin' the go-to, no goose, only way I began to G-York was drug loot, and let's start it like this, son, rolling with this one, and that one, pulling out gas for fun.
was a slapper.
Yeah, that was dope.
Kevmo just goes so ham with like the compression and like just makes the shit just real slap you around, you know? Like he goes for it.
I was not expecting that a cappella to come in, and it was like that was fire. It was an experience right there.
Hell yeah. Next up, we got T. Crispo. Let's go.
What you want from me? Oh, you want the recipe? I call it that FPE. It's a guarantee. The way that I spit it comes so quick. Straight off the top like a rich bitch in a new whip with a hairwind. Got me out here spending no PM. Yeah, I wrote this shit in a matter of minutes. Everything I touch turned to good riddance. Cause gold won't last and I'm here to win it. This life, next one, since the beginning I'm chilling. Oh, you want the recipe? I call it that FPE. It's a guarantee. What you want from me? Oh, you want the recipe? I call it that FPE. It's a guarantee.
Yo, she's spelling it out. She's spelling it out for us. Pick it up, boys. It's easy. Keeping it rolling with Hey Vamp Run. Welcome to your first loop sessions, Hey Vamp Run. Thanks for coming out. Very chill, very chill. Beautiful stuff, man. Thanks for coming out. Keeping it rolling.
That was emotional.
Keeping it rolling. Shit, they go hard.
That was fire.
That was fire.
Was that
That was fire.
Kazoo?
Yeah, kazoo layer on it.
Can we do more kazoo?
The next pack is all kazoo samples, so just be ready.
Yeah, I'm sick that day. All right, we only got a couple more beats left. Thank you to everybody for coming out. Big props to East Boulevard for providing this pack. And yeah, it must have taken a shitload of work to make that pack. So big ups, guys. Show some love in the chat there for these fine gentlemen. Here we go.
Thanks for having us, Mikey. Always appreciate the Loop Sessions community, and yeah, it's been fire to hear everyone's beats.
Of course. Too smooth. Last beat of the night.
Such nice.
And Jolly. Amazing work, and Jolly.
Oh, yeah.
That's a wrap on.
Well done.
On April 2021 Loop Sessions, featuring East Boulevard. Thank you guys so much.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you guys so much for coming out, man. This was really fun.
And Mikey, thank you, man, for hosting and bringing everyone together. It's a really dope community, and we're really happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, dude, I'm only here because everybody else keeps showing up. So I'll keep showing up as long as they do. In case you guys missed it before the show started, in our pre-show interview, we're talking about how Loop Sessions is starting a global radio show where we're doing a radio show consisting only of beats made at Loop Sessions throughout the entire world. We're in 25 plus cities right now. We're on every single continent, including Antarctica. And
whoa.
Yeah, the Loop Sessions in Antarctica, it's cold.
Ice cold, baby.
I'm sorry. So everyone, please send your beats in. loopsessionsvancouver@gmail.com. Email those beats. Maybe take that extra session, polish them up, do a little extra mix. If you want, you can send them in. I can give you feedback as well. I'm open to that. But let's get these beats submitted, and let's make sure that Vancouver is a force to be reckoned with on this radio show, and that we are bringing heat. so that everybody knows that Vancouver is bringing the heat on the show. So there's going to be like, I think total, there's probably like 20. We're probably pushing 20,000 people that this will go to, which is pretty wild. It's a lot of people. So get those beats.
20,000.
Get those beats in, y'all. And yeah. Yo, so now that we're done with the beats here, Stefan, you wanted to break down one of those tracks. Give people a little glimpse into your world.
Yeah. Give me a sec here. I'm gonna pull it up and then I'll screen share.
Yeah, sure.
If anyone's interested, I'll just pull up the beat that I made tonight.
Yeah, sounds good. So yeah, thanks again everybody for coming out. We're done with beats, but Stefan's gonna drop some knowledge on us right now. Yeah. Thanks again everybody for coming out. Love seeing everybody. Love hearing from everybody. Sounds like everybody's alive and well.
All right, let me just screen share with you.
Yeah, sounds good.
Oh, you disabled
sorry.
Host disabled attendee screen sharing.
Wow.
Hold on.
It's
So
like
I'm not
that,
sure
huh?
I can do it.
There you go.
Okay, I see.
So was this the beat that you played earlier?
Yeah.
Sick.
Can you see?
Do you see?
I can see clearly now. The rain.
All right, cool. I was gonna
down.
just show my chain for like making a distorted vocal, maybe a couple other things.
Please.
So I had this Project Pat acapella that I put in here. I feel like with acapellas sometimes, especially like a quick YouTube to MP3, it's like the quality is a little low. So usually you have to kind of, like we were talking about earlier, you have to be a little bit creative with your constraint of the quality of the sound. You can't necessarily treat it like
can't treat it like a studio vocal.
You would a normal, nicely recorded vocal. So I really like FabFilter for EQing, so I just went in and like bandpassed it pretty aggressively. And then I went in. I really like the SSL EQ also that UAD makes, and so I just went in and like took a little bit more of the low end out with this EQ and like some of the mid frequencies that I didn't like too much, and nothing too crazy happening on here. But I like to use this EQ because it forces me to listen and not look at it. I mean, you can still see like the frequencies that you're hitting, but I find like if I use an EQ that's a little more not as graphic as like a fab filter, then I'm not looking at the spectral analyzer. I'm just like hearing what I like and what I don't like.
True.
Then I compressed it a little bit. I like this 1176 compressor, like a medium, pretty fast attack, and just kind of like controlling the level a little bit and
nice. Yeah, I got that one too.
Giving it a little bit of grit. And then I really like the RVox, like just for packaging and putting all that together. And I hit that pretty hard as well. Like it's getting compressed pretty hard.
That's a limiter
there. And then and then basically what I wanted to do with this was make it like a distorted vocal. So there's this plugin that is through Plugin Alliance that I love. It's called Black Box, and it's just a really, really dope like tube saturator. And you can you can use the saturation, and then you can kind of use the output to make it like a wet dry. So if you push the saturation, you can kind of just turn down the output. And you can choose like what frequency spectrum you want to be saturating. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty versatile, but I use it a lot for just like giving a little more beef to like basses and guitars and like in this case, vocal. And then I went even crazier and I put another saturator on a send. And this is the Devilock by Sound Toys. And it's pretty fun because there's just two knobs, so it's not very complex, but they kind of have slightly different algorithms, but I usually just use a combination of both and hit it pretty hard, and so then I sent this vocal to that, and then I sidechained it a little bit to the kick too, just to like give it a groove, and that's like that would be my chain for like a kind of distorted sounding vocal.
Nice. So you're EQing.
Yeah. What else?
EQing, then compressing, then limiting to kind of bring that all together, and then effects on top of that.
Yeah.
And then you got another compressor at the tail as well to the kick, so that all sits in a beat and all kind of glues in together. I really like that. That's a good combo, dude.
Yeah. Now, the compressor to the kick on a vocal is kind of maybe a bit of a spicy move, but in this context where it's not like the vocal like on top of everything. It's just like, it was just meant to be like a textural piece. So I felt like I could get away with it in that instinct. And I mean, in this beat, I mean, the sample has a bass line in it, and I put an 808 in, and there's a kick. So I kind of felt like I also sidechained my sample to the kick because I felt like there was just a lot of low end. So I pretty much had to go in pretty aggressively and like carve out space. Like if I'm EQing or working with a sample, I usually will divide it into two frequency spectrums. One being like, I like to take all the low end out, and then one being the bass where I take the highs out. This one, because there was a sub, I ended up like, if there was no sub, I wouldn't have done this EQ, but I wanted to leave space for the sub down there. And then I usually so this is the same audio, but just in two different things. And then I like R bass. I throw that on the bass line of the sample and just gives it some like harmonic texture to it. And you can get a little carried away with this, and it can make things sound a little muddy. So you got to be careful, but you find this frequency that sounds good, and then you can kind of boost it like that. And then I have those grouped together, and I compress them together so that it all kind of it repackages it. And then I just am kind of like aware of where certain things are hitting, and now that I know that the bass line from the sample is hitting at 94, that's where I boosted the frequency. Then I can go into like my kick, and I can kind of give it a little dip there and just get it out of the way. And the sub, the same thing. I can kind of like look where the kick is hitting, and because I'm adding so much harmonics to 95 hertz, so I tried to just get things out of the way, making sure everything hits.
Oh, you did all this? You did all this in like 2 hours during loop sessions?
What's that? Sorry?
Said you did all this during loop sessions? No. Just bugging you, dude.
I would normally, but maybe not to that extent. But yeah, I usually I mix like as I go kind of thing. Like as I'm creating it, I kind of like I'm viewing the mixing to an extent as like part of the production and like helping to understand what the song is going to be.
True.
But no, I made this with one of these loops like the other day, but I worked on it a bit today and added the thing that I added today during loop sessions was just this a cappella and like this distorted verse, because I felt like it was a bit too with no when rapping on it, it was like a bit too, I don't know what the word would be, just repetitive, I guess. So I just like threw that in for the loop sessions crowd to hear, and then for it to be a little more interesting. But
yeah, so that's a
yeah,
super,
I'll just
crucial,
show like one more. Sorry, go on.
It's a very crucial technique to identify what frequencies are stacking up within your song, and then decide which one of the instruments that are supplying that frequency, which instrument is going to lead that, because your brain only has space for like 5 instruments. So you gotta figure out, you can't have them all going at once. So doing lots of mix work to make sure that people know what they're supposed to be listening to.
Totally. And I think like in a lot of songs, like you can do, you know, I think the main thing you just have to decide is like, do I want my kick to be below my bass, or do I want my bass to be below my kick? Because once you make that decision, then everything else, you can inform it from there. But unless you know what you're trying to do, then you can't really achieve anything, because you have to make that decision. So, and with this one, it was especially kind of tricky because I love the bass line of the sample, so I didn't want to lose that, but I was also wanting it to be like a more modern trap sound. So then I had to put the electric bass, sub, and the kick. So I really had to decide that, like, okay, where's it all going to sit? So I ended up being like, okay, sub is going to be super sub, and then kick, and then the bass line is going to be like a little more mid-rangey, because that's kind of the only way I could get away with it, because you can only do so much. But that's kind of why I ended up doing a lot of side chaining, and then I ended up in the kick, I threw this Pultec EQ on it, which I really like, and I just boosted 100 a little bit, and then I put on this transient designer and just tightened up the kick a little bit, gave it a little more attack, and like took the sustain down just so it was like a super tight, punchy kick, and it would get in and out fast, so it wouldn't be in the way of.
Because you decided that
of the sub, and the sub that I used is literally just. Sorry.
You decided that your kick was going to be on top of your bass.
Yeah, exactly. The kick was going to be like punchy, like, and then the bass was going to be super low, and then so the hierarchy was going to be like sub lowest, then kick, and then the bass from the sample.
Word.
But yeah, I like the hip hop sub bass just from Ableton stock is actually pretty dope sometimes, and it even has like all these little effects here, and I just put the distortion up. I didn't even. Oh, actually, I put this distortion up on the plugin, and then I sent it to that distortion that I had also, just to get a little bit more grit to it. I'm always a fan of sending stuff in parallel and kind of experimenting with putting things on the track versus like a send, but I feel like you can get a nice blend with the send, and yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think I just wanted to show like a couple different little things that I did in there.
That's dope.
But I think that's probably good. Yeah.
Do you ever send your reverbs all to one, or like do you send your tracks to a reverb?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like if I'm making beats in Ableton, and I'm just for like the speed of use, I'll usually set up like a nice sounding reverb on a send, so that I can just like, as I'm working, like just send to the verb, and you know, maybe like I'll have 1 or 2 verbs, like a short verb and a longer verb. And then as I'm working and producing and stuff, I can just do quick sends to those verbs. But I really like, I feel like it's a classic, but the Valhalla reverb is just like super, super good. And I like that you can use the different colors. I tend to use go to the 80s mode because I'm just like into the 80s, but you know. it's got all the
you got a mustache.
different colors to it.
Yeah. Amin got me onto the side chaining of the reverbs when you put a single reverb on a send, and then you send your tracks to that reverb, and then you side chain that reverb to the kick or something. Then
yes, sidechain reverb sounds so good, man.
Yeah,
like
it makes
especially
it gives you
in that, yeah.
It gives you space, but then it also tightens everything up together at the same time. Like you're otherwise, like, I don't know, it's like you have all these reverbs just like going crazy all over the place, and I just don't think you should have. And this is a total flip flop from me. Like for the first like 5 years I was making music, I had reverb all over everything, everywhere. But I don't think you should have that much reverb. Like, and anything that you listen to that you really like, listen to how much reverb is on every single element. There's not a lot. And the most, I find at least, the tracks I like the most, that stick out to me the most, don't have a lot of reverb at all.
Totally. Or it's like, EQing your reverbs, right? Like Gabe, who goes by Jub, who also shout out to him. He was involved in making a lot of these loops and stuff, and we just put out a project with him. But he's like a mix wizard. But he kind of imparted to me that like when you're using reverbs, you can really, like, you can do things. I used to just put a reverb and then be like, okay, and be done with it. But you can EQ that reverb and get it out of the way. Like, usually the reverb has like so much more low end than you need, or you can even compress the reverb. Like, you can get wild with it. And he kind of opened my mind to all that stuff. So yeah, I think when you're first starting out, like I remember I would put reverb on everything. Like, man, this kick should have reverb on it. Like, let's put it on the, like, you just go crazy with it. But you kind of learn to figure out ways to like get the effect and like put things in their space, but also keep it like controlled kind of thing. So
yeah, for sure. I think a lot of mixing is like, peeling stuff away and finding room for everything and not going too crazy on any one thing. So it's definitely something like you pick up more the more you do, and you realize like, oh, like I was really like pushing this too much, and just learning like where to peel back and everything, so everything fits.
Yeah, definitely. There's an interview that I really like with Beyonce's mix engineer, and he's like, 90% of my job is taking plugins off of other producers' shit.
Yeah,
because like
so
people just like pile the plugins on because they think they should, and he's just like, no, it was fine. Like you were, or like you use like 6 plugins to try and do one thing that you actually only needed like a limiter for.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I've found myself, especially like when I'm making beats, like in the past year or so, I try to like really ask myself, if before I like put a plugin on a sound or do something to it, I'll ask myself like, what am I trying to achieve? Because I think if you have a intention behind what you're trying to do, it'll help you figure out like what to do. But I'll kind of just be like, if it sounds good, like sometimes you're working with snare samples or kick samples or whatever, and they're already processed to such an extent to sound good in a pack that's like, and it sounds good in the mix. Like I don't necessarily need to throw a compressor on the kick when it already sounds great. So
for real,
I try to not overdo it.
Maybe it's like, because when we started making music in the earlier part of the 2010s, I don't think that packs had so many samples that were so heavily processed. And so we were kind of taught, you got to process the shit out of this stuff. And that's like, maybe it's gone too far. And now the samples that we have that are really good, they don't need all this work, you know? I don't know, maybe.
Sorry, you cut out there at the end. I couldn't quite hear what you said there.
Oh,
I'm sure it was great.
I was just saying, like, maybe we learned how to process drums, but when drums needed to be processed really heavily, and now all the packs that we're getting are just like, they're hot. All the samples are hot as fuck. They're
yes, exactly.
Like they're coming.
Like, how are you gonna count snare on your beat and be like, oh, I need to, like, it's dope
like,
already.
he
But that being said, you can get creative with it. I like to like hit shit or whatever.
For sure.
Like, I don't know.
But these producers, like, they probably know how to do it better than you. So what do you like? It's kind of almost vain to be like, oh, like, I gotta like put my compressor on there and like make it like slap really hard. It's like, like you're using a decap drums that knock sample pack, like the shit slaps already. just keep making ideas. Don't worry about the mix.
Yeah, I think the main thing is just like, I don't necessarily think I don't know. It's a hard balance, because like, I think there is something to be said for like doing your own processing to make it all make sense within your soundscape. But I think it's just doing that intentionally, where you're like, I'm trying to achieve this, so I'm going to do this, rather than just like trying to do it to do it. I think that's a hard thing to learn. I mean, I had to learn it, and I still struggle with it, you know, but yeah.
Yeah. And if you're finding that something is not slapping how you want, maybe you just have to flip the phase on it. It's something like really simple that can make a big difference that I've forgotten about until recently, really.
Yeah, maybe it's just getting deconstructive, like there's deconstructive interference with the rest of your shit, and it just needs to be bumped like 0.03 one direction or another. Yeah, mixing in mono is great for that.
Totally.
Yes.
Well, this has been really fun, boys. I think it's probably a good spot to wrap it up. Love.
Sounds good.
Talking production with you guys could go on forever. But yeah, I can't wait till we can get in the studio together, till Loop Sessions can go live together. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming out.
Thanks again for having us, and I hope that everyone enjoyed working with those samples. And feel free, if you go through that pack and you make something else from there, feel free to send it over. Yeah, it was all very high level stuff, very inspiring. And thanks so much for the Loop Sessions community and Mikey. And we at East Boulevard are very appreciative of this whole community. So thanks again.
Thank you, guys.
Oh yeah, well, thanks for putting out the most music of any record label in the city.
We have to. We have no choice.
We have to. Yeah,
we're addicted.
You're addicted. You would do it a different way if you could, but you can't.
We can't stop.
I didn't choose this life. This life chose me.
Yeah.
Dope, boys. All right, well, thanks again so much. This was really fun, and big love to Loop Sessions community. Peace, everybody.
Peace.
All right, have a good night. Thanks again. Peace.
Peace.